Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too.
So about 2 weeks ago now, my son and I signed up for a 2 mile St. Patrick's Day run. And this was the first time he'd ever ran a long distance race. He's almost 7 here, so he's 6, going on 7 here real soon. And I'm already pretty sure he's a better runner than I am. We I told my wife and my daughters and my son, my youngest son, they all came to watch us, and so I figured if I walked a mile, it would take me about 17 to 20 minutes, and so I figured with my son, if we walked 2 miles, that'd be about 40 minutes. We'd run some of it, so probably 30, 35 minutes, kind of giving her an estimate to meet us at the finish line so she could see us cross. We finished in 23 minutes. My son ran almost the entire first mile without stopping. We took a couple breaks to walk, but he finished it in 23 minutes. He was the second 6-year-old to finish. He had never ran that far before. The farthest we had ever run together was maybe a quarter mile. Definitely not a half mile, definitely not a mile. The furthest we had ever run straight is, yeah, probably about a quarter mile. So I was impressed. It got me pretty excited because I ran cross country when I was a freshman in high school, and I actually really liked it, and I got better throughout the season. I'm not a natural long distance runner. I always did sprints. I did track all through high school, and had the opportunity to run in college, but I was a sprinter, and so long distance was never really my thing. But I do enjoy runs. I go on about 1 or 2 long distance runs a week now, and I go through sporadic throughout the year, and so I'll go for a few weeks at a time, and then I'll get into something else. But I do enjoy it. I've had an issue. I tore my hip flexor or my quad when I was 12 years old, and so if I jump into things too quickly, and if you've been listening to the show for a while, I also had 2 hip surgeries here in the past couple of years, and so lots of issues with my hips and stuff. And so running sometimes can be a struggle if I taper it in a very progressive manner and don't jump into things too quickly. I usually do okay, but a lot of times I will feel really good, and so then I try and push it and just try and do too much and not recover enough, and then I end up setting myself back. And so had lots of issues with my hips and my back over the years. But long distance is something that I wouldn't say I enjoy, I wouldn't say I love, but it's a challenge. It's something that I feel like when I'm consistent with that, other areas of my life get better, where I know I'm pushing at it. I know it's something that I'm not just naturally good at. I don't naturally gravitate towards. And so it's kind of fun to challenge myself in that way because I know like right now I'm not good. I'm not even average at it. Like I'm fairly actually, I'm pretty below average in it. But when I run, it challenges me, it stretches me, it lets me know that I don't have to be great at everything to still enjoy it, to still do it, to still push myself, to still try and get better. My wife is a much more natural long distance runner. She enjoys running. And so it'd be cool, if some of the kids uh get into it a little bit, because then that might get me into it as well. My son and I have since we did that 2 mile run a couple of weeks ago, we've gone on a couple short runs here during the week, which has been kind of fun. So that's exciting. That's exciting because that's something that you know I I think it's a really cool sport, cross country. Like I said, I was not very good at cross country. In fact, I was like one of the slowest runners on the team. But it's a personal challenge. It's a team sport, but it's also very demanding of yourself here. It's relying on yourself to push better, to compete against yourself, which I think in life, that's obviously super important. And I think that's what's important too when it comes to, finding a form of exercise you enjoy. Now, I work with dads, and I help them build strength, I help them lose weight, I help them find a fitness routine they can stick to. And when I say a fitness routine they can stick to, typically that's something you enjoy. I gravitate towards weightlifting. I enjoy weightlifting. I like plyometrics. I used to be really big into like vertical jump training. So that's something I enjoy now. I enjoy sprinting. And so if you ask me to do long bouts of cardio all the time or group fitness classes or things like that, I probably will not stick to it. And so you got to find something that you can stick to. If you like weightlifting, you're probably going to stick towards that. Now, there is this fine line where we have to do what we know we need to do in order to get stronger, in order to be healthier, and what we enjoy. And so for me, I would just do weightlifting all the time. But I know that in order to improve my cardio, in order to improve my health, I have to add some form of endurance training in. Now, if you're somebody who loves running, who loves long distance cycling or things like that, you could probably benefit from more weightlifting. And so there's this balance of doing what we want to do and doing what we enjoy and doing what we need to do. And that's really the key of it all, right? For me, my body, I've had so many injuries over the years. My nervous system is locked down a lot of the times. I can tell when, my back is gonna flare up or something because it's usually when I'm doing way too much and not giving my body enough to rest. And so I have to focus a lot on recovery, mobility, flexibility, pliability, things like that. And so that I'm able to do the things I want to. And if you're somebody who really loves, long distance running, you're probably going to need to focus on strength training too, because if you only focus on running all the time, that's where a lot of people, your body will break down because you have great endurance, but we need strength, we need endurance, we need flexibility, we need mobility, we need all of these things, right? And so when we look at, like, if you remember doing like the presidential fitness test when you were in elementary and middle school, maybe high school, I think they switched it out for the pacer test and things like that. But it focused on speed, doing like the shuttle run. It focused on flexibility, doing the sit and reach. It focused on the mile, focused on pull ups, it focused on push ups and things like that. And so it had all of these components that of fitness where it made you pretty well rounded. In order to get the presidential fitness, I think it was the presidential fitness award, you had to pass, five different areas or however many it was. And so it's super important to be pretty well rounded in that respect. And as dads, if you're not competing in powerlifting or Olympic lifting and things like that, then does it really matter if you squat 225 pounds or 185 pounds, right? As long as you're maintaining muscle, you're getting stronger, you're doing better, the number really doesn't matter. We want all of these things. I want to be strong, but I want to be flexible too. I want to be able to pick up my kids off the ground without my back hurting. I want to be able to run a mile without being winded. I want to be able to go up the stairs at a hotel when the elevator is out of order and not just be gassed, right? And so there's all these things that are super important, but we gotta find that balance between what we want most, what we want right now, and what's best for us, and what we actually need to do. If it were up to me, I would just lift weights all the time. If I could, there's some people who say, you can shorten the rest periods on weightlifting, and that's going to be a great cardio workout. And I will challenge them and say, go run a mile right now. And you can already tell that those are completely different things here, right? It's not, you may be able to improve your cardiorespiratory health doing weightlifting workouts. But if you want to improve your cardio, you have to do things that demand that system. And so find something you enjoy to get you started, right? If you enjoy CrossFit, or I think the new thing right now is high rocks. I don't know much about that, but I see things popping up on my Facebook and Instagram feed all the time for that. And so if you enjoy things like that, if you enjoy group fitness class, if you enjoy yoga, all that stuff, do that. I will never discourage somebody from moving their body. We have this huge problem in America, right? Especially America, probably the world, but definitely America, where most of us or most people are just not moving their body enough. They're not healthy, they're not active. And there's a lot of fitness influencers, fitness coaches who make fun of certain modalities. And you will never hear me. A lot of times, there are diets, there are certain ways to exercise that I don't agree with, I don't recommend, but I'm not going to call them out, because if you're putting in the work to try and make yourself healthy, that's a great starting point. We can improve on that. But I'm not going to call them out. So I don't call out certain plans or certain coaches or certain just ways of eating and things like that, because if you're trying to be better, if you're trying to be healthier, that's a great start. There may be a better way, but I'm not going to call you out, because there's a lot of people who are doing nothing. There's a lot of people who they don't care about what they eat. They don't care about exercise. They don't care about just being better. And if you're doing something about it, whether it's the best way or not, I'm never going to call you out for that. If you ask my advice, if you ask my opinion, I may tell you, hey, I think it's great that you're doing something, but there may be a better way. How about you try this? But I'm never going to make fun of somebody or put somebody down for trying to better themselves. And so there are so many things that you can do. There's not a lot of things that maybe you need to do, right? And so there's a balance between all of this here. But the biggest takeaway here is that the things that you don't enjoy doing are probably the things that you need to do. If you love to weightlift and you hate running, maybe you need to run a little bit more, right? Your kids right now, if they're young, they probably aren't weightlifting with you, but they probably want you to play tag with them. If you're weightlifting all the time, or sorry, if you're running all the time and you never weightlift, maybe you need to, invest in some dumbbells. Your kids also want you to pick them up, right? Your kids also want you to be able to play with them without, causing your back to hurt. And so the things that scare you, the things that you don't enjoy, are probably the things you need to consider of doing a little bit more.
That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.